Warning: this podcast talks about graphic content and animal abuse. Please listen with caution. All right, welcome to Bark Banter, where we talk about dog trainer drama and dog training, and we try to be funny. This episode may not be funny. I'm just going to put that out there.
My irksome nerves.
Yep. Our drama is... Oof. Oof.
Yeah. Yep. Anyways, my name's Macey. I am the owner and trainer of BossDog Canine Dog Training. About 7 years experience of dog training, and here we are with Skyler.
Oh, yeah, I forgot introductions. I'm Skyler Gingrich. I own Redemption Dog Training in Denver, Colorado. And I've been training dogs off and on for like 12 years now.
Yep.
Yeah. So drama. Macey, you get to go first this week.
All right. So, my drama for this week, I feel like I always get the heartbreaking ones. Like I never actually come with like some real juicy gossip. I always come with the ones that are gonna make the dog moms and dog trainers cry. So as some of the other dog trainers that are gonna be listening to this know, Larry Crone, did I say his name right?
Yeah. And also if you're not following any dog trainers in your whole life, follow Larry Crone on Facebook. Like, it's worth it.
Yes. How do you spell his last name?
Oh, jeez. K. There's an H in there somewhere.
Got it. Okay, Larry, Larry, Crone, Krohn. And if I'm not saying that right, Larry, please correct us. But yes, he's a really good one to follow.
For sure.
But as far as like the drama today, it actually just happened like a few hours before we got on the pod. But he posted a video. I didn't really look. I haven't had a chance to like follow the trail of where he posted the video from. I think he either shot the video himself or he found it from.
He didn't shoot it.
He didn't shoot it. Where did
No.
did he find it on the internet?
I don't know how he got that video, but he didn't. He wasn't the person shooting it.
Gotcha. Anyways, he found a video of another so-called quote quote dog trainer. Do we know the name of this dog trainer?
Matt Fiala from Advanced Canine Training, Top Dog Training of Kansas City, and A1 Kansas City Dog Training. I don't know how to spell. I don't know how to say his name. I think it's Fiala.
Fiala, cool. Anyways, from what I've gathered from everybody piecing it together, apparently this dude went to Tar Heel Canine, which, from what I understand, I don't think Tar Heel Canine would approve of what he did.
I know a lot of people who went to Tar Heel who do not do that.
Yeah, like I've talked to the people at Tar Heel before. I've kind of went in to see if I wanted to go to the school, and they don't come across as people that would condone this type of behavior. But basically the video is it's not necessarily, I wouldn't say it's graphic. I'd probably say it's more heartbreaking watching because you can clearly see that the dog's behavior is.
I would almost call it graphic because really? I legitimately gasped because I was like, oh, and then I was like, and I gasped.
Yeah, at first when I watched it really looked like nothing stood out to me at first until it got to that point. It really looked like a neighbor being nosy and seeing a dog that's scared and was like, oh my god, look, this person. And I was like, what's everybody freaking out about?
That's what I thought too.
As the video continues, it gets so much worse. I didn't necessarily gasp, but I was just like, oh.
Yeah, I gasped.
Like, good lord.
And then I yelled at my phone multiple times. Like, if you don't watch this video, you don't need to watch this video. Just know that this Matt Fiala guy, don't go to him for dog training.
Yeah. I don't condone this behavior at all. I do not think it was appropriate whatsoever. We don't really know why he did what he did. And for the viewers that haven't seen it and that don't want to go watch the video, basically after it was like he was taking a picture of the dog. At first I thought he had an e-collar in his in his hand, and I thought maybe that's why the dog was shying away. Maybe he was using the e-collar way too roughly, like it shouldn't be used, and shutting the dog down. So that would give me reason to be like, oh yeah, that's wrong. But
you could tell his body posture was very aggressive towards the dog from the beginning.
I was watching. Like, I feel like I was watching the dog more. I feel like I didn't necessarily. I mean, now that I replayed in my mind, I definitely see where you're coming from in that, but that's not the first thing that stood out to me. What stood out to me was the dog's body language.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
And just I was more focused on what was in his hand. Like I was trying to figure out what he was doing.
What he was doing.
But he was trying to take a picture of the dog, and yes, like Skyler said, his body language was very assertive and aggressive towards the dog. And whenever we say that, I didn't notice him like any forward fast motion bucking. It was more like he was just rigid.
Yeah, he looked hostile.
Yeah, like if somebody like bucked up to you and got in your face, but like just held that position. It wasn't necessarily that he was moving fast and scaring the dog. It was more so that the dog was reading his body language and knew that guy was upset. Imagine if somebody just really wanted to intimidate you. That's kind of what his body language, I feel like, came off to me. Which most dog trainers don't do that unless it's absolutely necessary, but this situation I do not really think that was necessary. It looked like he was trying to get a picture of the dog, maybe for his parents, or pet parents. I don't know how some dog trainers find that cringy. Owners? I call them pet parents because yeah, they're owners. I find a lot of my clients do consider themselves pet parents. I
consider myself a pet parent.
Yeah, I feel like I say the word owner or pet parent depending on how my client perceives themselves. Like, and we'll go back to that. But maybe he was taking a picture for them. Maybe he was taking a picture for his website. His
God, whatever. I hope not.
I don't. I'm just, yeah.
I hope that wasn't for his website. Oh
no. I mean, pictures can be deceiving.
I know.
Body language.
Well, and the thing is, if you got that one picture, I saw him get that one picture with the dog's ears up. You saw him get the one picture with the dog's ears up.
I feel like he had one moment where he did, and if you're anybody taking pictures of dogs, you just leave that camera rolling. You just
absolutely
until you get the right
one.
Or
you video. What I do is I keep it on video, and like I will literally just like video and like do things with the dogs until I get something that I think looks nice.
Oh. See, I don't do that.
Yes. Dog training is a lie, you guys. Just know this. Pictures, videos, it's all a lie.
I wouldn't go that far. Well, because I try to picture and video everything for my clients, all the way to the bad stuff. But
it's all orchestrated.
Yeah.
You can picture and video and make everything look very beautiful. Obviously, this guy did not know that his neighbor was watching him through the window.
My thing is, I mean, not that I think that people should be hiding how they treat their dogs, but to do something like that out in public.
Can you imagine what he's doing in private?
Yeah, like if he thinks that's okay to show in public. And we're getting off track. These people don't even know what we're referring to. They're like, this guy's taking pictures, his body language was rude. I'm like, nope, that's not even it. Like, that's all
that's the thing. Calm part of the video.
That's the calm part. But the very part that Skyler gasped at, and like I said, even whenever I was watching, he was putting the dog in the kennel. And even whenever I was watching him put the dog in the kennel, there's been a few dogs that like if they didn't want to go in the kennel, like they might look like that for me. I will say I don't necessarily grab them like he did. Like he scruffed it, I'm pretty sure, right? And then he like pushed it from the hind end.
I don't. I have one very specific point in that video where I gasped.
Okay. Yeah, you're talking about. Well, okay, I think we're on the same route. So the part where he's putting the dog in, I didn't really have much. I was like, "There's a better way to do that." But I still didn't have much emotion to that part, I guess. The dog was definitely trying to not go in the kennel. You could tell the man was getting frustrated. He eventually does get the dog in the kennel. That's when the gasp happens. It's not whenever he gets the dog in the kennel. It's what he does.
It wasn't actually after. When he got the dog in the kennel, and it wasn't.
No, it was what he did after. And what that was he had this bucket of water. Was that?
Hopefully water. We're hoping it's
hopefully
water.
I hope it's not cleaner.
We're hoping it was water. Yeah.
I didn't see suds, but also it wasn't that great of a video.
You couldn't see whatever the liquid was. You couldn't see it.
Yeah, true. I hope
I hope it was water.
I hope it was water. But he took this bucket of whatever liquid was in there, and he opened the kennel. And I thought he was giving the dog water.
I thought he was waterboarding the dog.
Okay, so explain to the viewers what waterboarding is.
Okay, so waterboarding is obviously like when you stick somebody's head in the water and like force them to like do that, right? It looked like because at first, yes, I thought he was giving the dog water. And then he just shoved the bucket like in the dog's face, and it looked like the dog was drowning. Like he was trying to drown this dog in the bucket.
Yeah, that's the part where like it happened all so fast. I know we're breaking it down like from scale to scale. Yeah. But he opens the gate to the kennel and he looks like he's going to offer the dog water, but then he dunks the dog's head in it.
Yeah.
And then after that, he did that like a few different times. You could tell the dog was freaking out, trying to get out.
Yeah.
The dog did get out half like at some point. And he grabbed him by I think either the leash or the collar. I'm pretty sure he still had the leash on him while he was in the kennel. And shoved him back in the kennel. Yeah. And then he proceeded to take the rest of whatever the liquid was and splash the dog with it in there. Mm-hmm. He just kept splashing all the water on the dog, or I hope it's water.
Hopefully water.
Into the kennel. Like, not just as if you were bathing the dog and dumping water on it. He was physically taking this water, throwing it into the kennel with this dog multiple times. And then it gets worse. Then he takes the kennel with the dog in it and flips it over, forward, solid, backwards, solid, forward, like just multiple times, like tossing this dog around in this crate. And it was a rough crate. That was where you gasped?
That was where, well, I gasped at the point in which he had the actual kennel door, bam, on the ground. And that was the point in which I was like, oh my God, what just happened?
So for everybody who understands how a kennel works, the door area is the part that went flat on the ground. So now your kennel is standing up long ways, not flat on the ground like it's supposed to be. And then he basically roughly tossed it back to how it was supposed to be, and then flipped it on the back side of the kennel, and then back around. He did this a few different sessions. And I don't remember
what to like choke the dog out and be incredibly rough with it. Yeah, it was an awful video. And yeah, we do not condone that type of behavior. Also, be really careful who you leave your dogs with.
Please. Yes, I was trying to comprehend why he would do something like this.
We did hear it may have been a washing technique. I wouldn't wash a dog that way, but apparently some people do.
I did make a comment about like what a fucked up washing machine style of washing that dog was. Now, yeah, so somebody tried to come forth and say, "Oh, this is how you wash a dog that doesn't want to be washed or whatever." That pisses
or a dog who, I was gonna say a dog who messes in their kennel.
What is that teaching the dog?
That the kennel is fucking terrifying, and you're fucking terrifying.
Kennel, like all I can think was, wow, that's gonna be so much kennel anxiety after that. Poor dog.
The dog is never gonna want to go in that kennel ever again. And then he's like slamming the door shut in the dog's face so that it doesn't want to come out. Like, ooh.
No, I will say as far as like, I mean, I don't slam it in the dog's face whenever a dog comes out and they're not supposed to. I will try to rushly close the gate so I don't have to have the dog come out on its own if we're like in a certain situation.
Well, it is a technique to shut the door in the dog's face.
Yes.
If you're trying to rush out the door. What I'm saying is you just washing machined this dog in a kennel who's obviously going to want to get out. So you now slamming the door in their face, which please don't slam the door in the dog's face. There's a way to do it that is gentler than that. You can teach the dog to wait without slamming the door in their face. Yeah. They don't need to get nose damage.
I almost wonder if he lost his cool, if the dog was, because the dog was definitely fearful.
The dog peed in the kennel and he got mad.
That's one theory, is that the dog peed in the kennel and this was his form of teaching the dog, no, don't do that. I don't know. Trying to make that a bad experience so the dog never does it again. The other thing that I was thinking, whenever he opens the kennel, while he's like, whenever we're like backtrack to wherever I was like, it looked like he was going to give the dog water, and he opened the kennel. There was some very fast movement that happened right there. He was kind of in the way. We couldn't really see what was happening other than him dunking the dog's head. What if the dog tried to bite him? Just throwing that out there. Like, if
I don't think the dog tried to bite him.
I don't think so either.
If the dog had wanted to bite him, she would have. I'm guessing it was a she, based on the size of the shepherd. But she would have bit him in one of the other times that she could have actually gotten away.
I'm just throwing theories out there of why he may have lost his cool. Because again, even if a dog was going to bite you coming out of the kennel, that's not the way to handle it. Obviously,
absolutely not. No.
But if he lost, like, I'm just thinking, like, he obviously just lost his fucking shit on this dog.
I don't know that he just lost his shit on this dog. His behavior, his posture, the entire video was aggressive towards this dog. And it doesn't matter what a dog does to you in that aspect. That is unacceptable behavior.
Definitely.
Like there is a time and place, and I've lost my cool on my dogs. And like, actually this weekend, I almost killed Lucifer. He was driving me.
For the viewers,
he was driving me insane. He did so Cross and I walk them together on the weekends. Yeah, he is going to turn 2 in like 3 days. But yeah, Cross and I walk them together on the weekends, and this is actually something that we're going to talk about. But Cross was in front of us with D'Artagnan, and Lucifer started to get really like antsy and weird about it. And it just triggered my brain where I went, this is not something that you do. And it made me incredibly frustrated. And you know what I did? I took him home and stopped.
Yeah.
I said, I can't, because I could feel it. I could feel my anger rising in that level where I was like, I can't think about this logically. And I need to just stop and put the dog away and be done for right now. And then I've gone back and we have worked and we've worked and we've worked this whole week on that whole thing that I had an issue with.
Yeah.
In a more logical way.
Yeah. I mean, like, and for any trainers out there, and I'm coming from somebody who does get frustrated with different types of dogs in different situations, mainly my own dogs, not so much client dogs.
It tends to be our own dogs.
Right, because we know they're supposed to.
We know what you're supposed to be doing.
Right? Why are you testing me? Like, you know? But coming from somebody who, whenever I was a young trainer, like, I didn't know how to comprehend that frustration. And I may have corrected my dogs a little too hard here and there. I don't do that anymore. But if you're a young trainer and you start to feel frustrated with your dog, or it's not working how you want to do, working longer is not the answer.
Put the dog away, please. Like, I don't care who you are. If you're a dog owner, if you're a dog trainer, and you can feel yourself getting that level of frustration, put the dog away.
Yeah, like
it does nobody any good.
Working longer and working through that frustration does not make that frustration go away, nor does it help your dog understand what is being asked of him. I'm always messing up words every podcast we have. But I mean, yeah, so put the dog away, go calm yourself, go find whatever is your outlet, because you need other outlets than just dog training. Yes. And then come back to that later and look at it from a different light. But if you are at any point, and you know, another thing is some people have a hard time comprehending what frustration feels like. And I know it's probably different for everybody, but for me in particular, it feels like a little ball in my stomach and chest area that is just like a little fury, just running through my body, you know, like, and that's when I start to feel that little fuzzy irritation, fire feeling. That's when I'm like, all right, cool, putting this dog up because it's not it right now.
Yep.
So I mean, like, that's, you know, coming from somebody who's a little bit more experienced, who deals with frustration a lot. Don't work with your dog while you're frustrated. Go put it up, go cool off, go do something else. I don't know what it may be. Might be watching TV, might be journaling, might be reading books, might be going for a walk by yourself without your dogs, might be going work out, you know, whatever it may be. Go do that.
Yeah.
Work with your dog
do
later.
Something else.
But yeah, so I mean that's the video. And if you want to watch it, for those that are curious, just watch with caution. Yeah. And for the record, I do not think blasting this person on Facebook in the sense of just going off on him on Facebook is ever going to fix this.
Oh, it's not.
So probably, you know, if you don't, again, for those people who think that they can just fix the world by being a keyboard warrior, this is probably not that situation. So don't waste your breath. But you can go find it on Larry Crone's Facebook. He shared it. And we will also be sharing a link, I guess, on the Facebook page under this podcast information, if y'all decide to go and look it up.
Yeah, but we will not be sharing the actual video because we do not want to just have it on random people's feeds like that. Like,
yeah, I also don't warn
Larry probably should have put a warning on that one.
Probably. I'm sure Facebook will get on it with a lot of people reporting it.
We will talk about it here. We're going to say that it's not an acceptable thing to do, but we are not going to share these videos, and we do not want you guys to go out trying these techniques. But if you're listening to this podcast, you probably wouldn't do that anyways.
That is true. All right, Skyler, your turn. What is your drama for the week?
I think we're going to skip my drama and go straight to our topic because we are almost 30 minutes in. And actually, my drama works better for the next episode anyways.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right. So our topic this week is Littermate Syndrome. And Macey said that I have to take the lead on this one. So I am going to say what I have said in past podcasts, which is, I believe, what?
I was going to say, let's give a definition and an example.
There isn't. That's the problem.
Okay. Well, that's fair. I was going to say, because a lot of the viewers that are watching this, whether they are dog professionals or clients, aren't really going to, some of them don't even, have never heard the term Littermate Syndrome.
That's because it's not real.
Oh! Okay. Whoa! You waited. You held out on that one. Mm-hmm. I did not know your views on that. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Give it. Let me hear it.
Okay. We may or may not cut that part, but yeah. So
I think that was funny. You should leave that.
Littermate syndrome is a whole mess of things that change depending on which trainer you talk to. So there are trainers who believe that it is only when littermates are aggressive towards one another. There are trainers that believe that it is the more or less puzzle piece syndrome, where one dog gets these characteristics, say it's people friendly and dog reactive and food aggression, right? Your dog gets these three. The other dog gets the opposite three. So this dog is terrified of people, but loves dogs and would give up any of its resources to anybody or anything. Right? Mm-hmm. So those are the more or less the two kind of schools of thought. And some people believe that both of those are Littermate syndrome, which I have a problem with.
Okay.
Because those are two very different things.
Alrighty.
And also, back to what I was saying before, I see all of these same things, dogs trying to kill each other and dogs having like the puzzle piece thing in dogs that they didn't grow up together as puppies. Mm-hmm. These people didn't get these dogs at the same time, because that is the one thing that everybody who claims Littermate syndrome is a thing claims, is that these people got these dogs around the same time at around the same ages. So these dogs grew up together.
Or that they got two from the same litter, so these dogs never had any separation whatsoever.
Exactly. So it's either two dogs, well, I mean, yeah, from the same litter, or two dogs of different litters who grew up together.
Okay.
And that is the one thing that the Littermate Syndrome people agree on, is that is how this happens. But I see both of those things a lot in 2-dog households where one dog was 4 and they got a puppy.
Mm-hmm.
And the puppy ends up puzzle piecing off of the 4-year-old. Mm-hmm. So the 4-year-old has these problems and the puppy has the opposite.
Okay. See, I never, so me as a trainer, I have always been told it was a thing. I don't personally think I've ever actually witnessed it, honestly. And this is coming from somebody who has raised puppies, and because, you know, they don't all sell immediately, you get stuck with some of them while they're 8 months old, a year old, before they find homes. And I've never had issues with any of them. Maybe then a few little tussles here and there just because they got annoyed of each other. So that, I mean, it makes sense. I will say that, yeah, I just always thought it was a thing, just because everybody, all of the other trainers I've ever been around, you're the first trainer to ever tell me it wasn't true and that you didn't believe
I've seen it a lot.
I was gonna say, it makes sense though, because like a lot of the issues that correlate with what would be considered Littermate Syndrome have names by themselves, like resource guarding. A dog, but in Littermate Syndrome, it's the puppy wants everything that the sibling wants. And they cause fights over it, you know?
But and then you've also got the puzzle piece part of it.
Yeah.
Where they grow up together and they're like, they've got the two opposite things.
Mm-hmm. And then separation anxiety.
It happens. It happens with so many dogs that did not grow up together, that live together now. Yeah. That is why I'm saying that Littermate Syndrome is a fancy term that dog trainers designed to keep people from buying 2 puppies from one litter, which is great, right? People don't necessarily need to buy 2 puppies from one litter, but they can and have no issues as long as they do it correctly. Because Littermate Syndrome is fake. It is a made-up thing. And yes, you can give me all of the crap you want for me saying that it is a made-up thing. That the entire diagnosis is a made-up thing. Littermate Syndrome does not have any like definable characteristics.
That is true. Yeah. Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit. Let's break down what people consider Littermate Syndrome and pair them with what it actually is. Like, one at a time. Like,
let me just say, all of the things that we say as dog trainers are made up. We don't have a book of like actual definable things that are scientific. Everything we do is made up. I have an issue with Littermate Syndrome specifically because it is a bunch of other things.
Yeah.
And they just blame it.
Backtracking off of that comment,
I told you we didn't need to have this episode.
Ooh. So I respect your opinion on that. I will, however, say that dog training is a lot of science, and I therefore do believe that we should have labels for different types of behaviors, and I do use them a lot, and I like using them. Because it helps people understand what exactly is wrong and what they need to be doing.
Hold on, I agree with that. I'm not saying I don't agree with that. I'm saying that we don't have a medical book. We don't have like the journal of like dog diagnostics.
That's because no dog trainer can agree.
But that is where I'm going with this, is like everybody can like be as mad as they want that I say that Littermate Syndrome isn't a real thing. But like legit, none of these things are actual real things because we don't have a book. We don't have some sort of standard about what these things are. We don't. And
as scientific as dog training is, it is the most unregulated science out there, I believe.
Oh, absolutely.
Like there is like, I have a few trainers or newbie trainers that, baby trainers that want to, be like, oh, where'd you learn all these things? Well, you could say that I have a lot of mentors. You could say that I've learned from experience, and you could say that I did go to a school for dog training. But however, what I learned at each one of these, none of them agree for the most part.
Yeah.
So I kind of just pieced it all together, but that's the thing, dog training's unregulated.
Well, it's unregulated, and like everybody uses different terminology for everything.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go off on a slight tangent here. I saw a TikTok video yesterday where the girl said she doesn't teach her dog impulse control. She teaches her dog to grab the toy when they get excited, which most trainers would consider impulse control, but she just doesn't like the phrase impulse control.
Oh,
this is where I'm going with all of this is like, I do not use the phrase Littermate Syndrome. I don't use it in my training because I would rather get down to the actual what is going on than just be like, well, you bought 2 puppies at the same time. This is what you get.
Mm-hmm. Again, back to dog training being the most unregulated thing ever. As scientific as it is, I do have to agree. Like, every dog trainer, because none of us can get on the same page, and none of us can actually do studies that aren't flawed, for us to really have a very structured base theory behind dog training. That's why there's so much divide between different ones. But that also goes like to bounce off of what you said about like different dog trainers giving different terms. When I was a brand new dog trainer, we've talked about this before, like learning from other people how, like, why they did what they do and how they do what they do. And I was like, oh, I've been doing that. And I'm like, oh, there's a name for it. It's called this. I didn't know that. So yeah, so I mean, like dog training, like, yes, it is, there's an art there. There is a style to it. There is things that are going to be the same everywhere you go. But
yeah, we're all just going to call them 15 different things.
Huh?
I said we're just going to call them 15 different things.
Yeah, yeah, like just because like all of us dog trainers, like none of us can agree on what it should be called, and none of us can agree on an actual definition that defines exactly what this is. So I do get you on that one. Yeah. Yeah. You might be converting me on the whole Littermate Syndrome's not a thing tantrum.
We're gonna get so much hate over this. Oh my god.
I feel like some of them are gonna be so disappointed. They're gonna listen to this and they're gonna be like, the fuck?
Well, okay, and if you're one of those people and you have made it up to this point of me being like Littermate Syndrome isn't real, we are gonna do what Macey said, and we are gonna go through the different behaviors and what they are and what we suggest that you do for those things. So let's start with the most common thing that people hear about Littermate Syndrome, which is dogs who fight each other.
Yes, like to the death. Like they want to kill each other.
They never start like that, though.
No, they don't. They start with little things that irritate each one of them. And I feel like one of them grows to realize they don't actually like other dogs.
I would say it becomes a point in which, like, one of them learns that they can take things all of the time. And the other one finally gets fed up, usually at maturity.
Yeah.
Is about when the other one goes, you know what? Stop taking my stuff. And the owner has never enforced any kind of boundaries between these dogs and just lets them figure it out themselves.
Yeah.
And then the fight happens.
I definitely, I see that. So one of the things that people with Littermate Syndrome typically talk about, people with Littermate Syndrome, oh my god.
Like, I would guess people have that too if it's a real thing.
Hey, I fight my littermates all the time. So yes, so one thing that I find with that is they try to say that it always starts, or it starts to get bad, quote quote, like it was always there, but it starts to get really bad and become an issue usually around 2 or 3, the age of maturity.
Yep.
But we see that across the board and almost all dogs have issues. Like, it never starts unless you just have a genetically fucked up dog. Never starts at the early stages.
Yep.
So I feel
all
like
of these things, you see the little things and you see the little things and you see the little things as they're growing up, and then they hit 2 or 3, and that's when those things really become things, because that is when they are fully formed.
Yeah, I mean, like, personally, I have 2 dogs who don't get along. They're fine as long as I'm there to keep boundaries, but if they are left alone to pick up their own boundaries, they're gonna fight. And the thing is, one of them's a super dog appropriate, loving, loves to meet other dogs dog, and the other one is a bitch.
Hey, I have those too.
And if I'm not there, then guess what? The one that's a bitch, if she gets anywhere near the other one, she picks and picks and picks and picks and picks.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until Rye was probably about a year and a half, 2 years old, that she finally just stopped fucking.
She got sick of it.
Yeah, and now that, like, the second Baz starts, that's the first thing she jumps to, because she's like, I'm not
gonna deal with your bullshit.
Yeah. And Baz is just stupid and doesn't see that. Mm-hmm. I love Baz, but she's a headache. She's probably the one that I'll talk about the most on all these things. And for everybody out there, just pay attention to who you get your dogs from. I did not do a lot of research when I got Baz. I just saw a pretty dog and Malamo, which is what I wanted, and I bought her for color. Don't do that. No. Rye though, my breeder picked her. Best dog I ever had. So, okay, so what's the next thing that people usually say is part of Littermate Syndrome?
Separation anxiety. Oh, wait, but first, let's go back. The best way, and this is for, I'm not going to do this for separation anxiety. I'm going to do this for if you have 2 dogs and they are starting to pick at each other, you need to, number 1, work with them separately and work with them together.
Yes. I think a lot of mental stimulation too.
Yeah. Well, and like they need to have separate time. They need to have time away from each other, and they need to have time together where they are both working, or they have to work together, because if they have already gotten to the point where they fight like to the death on site, I, for one, will not help you. Now, Larry Crone will help you. But I will not. I don't play with that, because it's not a thing that I want to do.
Okay. Noted.
Yep. So next is separation anxiety.
Okay. So what would they call that in Littermate Syndrome? Because they don't say it's separation anxiety.
It is separation anxiety from the other dog.
Mm-hmm. I've heard other trainers say it as the dog acts as if they can't live without the other one.
Which,
is separation
which is
anxiety.
separation anxiety.
But they say it more of like longs of like, and they won't bond with you at all.
They won't bond with people, which I've actually never seen. I've never seen a dog who wouldn't bond with people. I would guess that is with dogs who are not given much attention at all from people. I don't actually know.
I find it's with dogs that you're not giving enough one-on-one time with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you spend time with all of your dogs all at once,
all of the time,
and they're never allowed to just build a relationship with just you and an understanding with just you, I find that happens a lot. My grandma, I'm talking about her again, she's a good example of that. We talked about her and her dogs during when we were talking about separation anxiety in general. Like he acts as if the world's going to end if we do something with Sadie. Yeah. And he also, I feel, is not very bonded to people. Mm-hmm. But I will say my grandma, like, she spends time with all her dogs all together. She never does anything different with each one of them. But I will say that I do feel like after him being in the family for so many years, he does have a little bit of a bond with my grandma. Do I think it could be better? Yes. Do I think she could have more standards with her dogs and expectations for them? Absolutely. But that's kind of where I agree with that. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a dog not bond with a person. I do, however, feel like I've seen dogs take longer to bond with people if they are always stuck up the other dog's ass, and that's all they care about.
I actually, I was gonna say the same thing. I was thinking about it as you were speaking, and I was thinking that every time somebody, like the regular general pet owner, gets more than one dog, they almost always try and spend time with those two dogs together.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's part of what causes all of these issues. You have to spend time with your dogs one-on-one, guys. I have 4 dogs. You know what I do?
6.
Yeah, Macy's got 6 dogs. Like, we have to spend time with these dogs one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, like, they're gonna feel strongly about the other dog. They're gonna be like, they're always here. You're only here sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, and we're talking like I used to tell people this all the time, kind of as a joke and kind of, I guess, as kind of cocky. My dogs think so highly of me that I am golden to them. Like, and we're talking like this could be when we're all together. All they care about is with me. They'll go play with each other, but if I get up and move, you wanna know what's happening? Where's mom going?
Oh, absolutely.
They're not necessarily Velcro dogs, I would not say. But if I was to do, say, or feel any type of way, they're on it.
Yeah.
Even though they're with everybody all at once, because we do pack walks.
Yeah.
We do one-on-one time, but it's because I spend so much time one-on-one with them.
Yeah.
Usually during the training process, because I am not about to have a puppy be buck wild in my house. So usually early on, all the time we're just training. It's not until they get probably about 2 years old that I just kind of let them be a dog, and then like we train when I feel that I want to train and it's appropriate. We're trying to work back into that now, just because I realized that with my older dogs, I've kind of really gotten out of habits of training with them, like actual mentally stimulating, learning something training outside of me just, hey, go lay down, hey, go sit, you know. But yes, I mean, if I can do that with 6 dogs, and we're talking like I've got dog puppies together at the same time, I've gotten dogs that you know, at years apart, and every single one of them, even though they do spend time together, I am the only thing that is the shining light in their eye. So I mean, if I can do it, even though I'm a dog trainer, I wasn't a dog trainer before that.
Yeah.
I mean, then so can y'all.
Well, and it comes down to everybody feels like, oh my gosh, I'm leaving this dog out. If they're hanging out with one dog and not the other dog, they're like, oh, well, this one feels like sad about it. Yes, okay, they might. Originally. Like, initially. If all you've ever done is spend time with your dogs together, initially they're going to be like, well, why are you taking that dog instead of me? They're going to do that.
I feel like you'll see that in frustration barks when you grab another dog and not them. You'll see that in like excessive whining if the dog is like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Or even like if you're petting another dog and your dog comes up and pushes them out the way, which I don't allow that. My dog does that. You're not getting pets. Go away.
I agree with that. I also don't let my dogs steal toys from each other.
I don't have toys
in that aspect. I do. I have toys all over my damn house. And my dogs do actually spend more time with each other than they do with me. But the time they spend with me is like so much more valuable than the time they spend together, I would say. Most of the time they spend together is sleeping. Occasionally play.
And we can go on another episode and talk about like how to build a bond properly with your dog to create these things. But yes, I mean, that's again making yourself as valuable as possible to where your other dog means nothing to your dog.
It doesn't have to mean nothing.
I'm being overdramatic.
Right? It doesn't have to mean nothing, but you need to be valued over your other dogs.
Yes.
Like your relationship with your dog should be the most important thing to them versus their relationship with each other. Because my dogs spend more time with each other than they do with me, but my relationship is the most valuable thing to all of my dogs. And if you can get to that point, it doesn't matter whether you have litter mates. It doesn't matter if you got puppies at the same time. It doesn't matter if your one dog is completely and utterly attached to your other dog. If they can value their relationship with you over their relationship with the other dog, you will not have as many issues.
Okay, so the next one that I want to touch on is the stealing toys or food or treats from another one. That in normal dog terms, not Littermate Syndrome terms, is defined as resource guarding.
I wouldn't consider stealing resource guarding. No, I would consider, like, I've seen some dogs where they will hoard the things and then like not let anybody else touch it. And that's resource guarding. I wouldn't say stealing. Stealing toys is just kind of like obnoxious bully behavior generally.
Yeah. And dogs can be bullies, guys.
Oh, 100%.
My dog's a bitch to other dogs. She does not know how to be appropriate.
I would consider all 4 of my dogs bullies in different ways.
Yeah? Yes. That's fair.
They are. They're all different. They're bullies in different ways.
But yes, okay, so yeah, that's more bully behavior. I think I was more so trying to refer to the starting fights over it. And if your dog is always having their resources stolen from them, they are going to develop resource guarding.
Generally. Some dogs are really good about it. Some dogs will literally just take it on the chin every single time, but they should not have to.
No, they shouldn't. You should be able to, you should step in and advocate for them. Like, no, that's not yours. Go sit over there.
Separate them.
Yeah. So
some dogs cannot have certain things around other dogs.
Yeah. So I don't do toys freely.
Yeah.
I think toys should just be out when you're playing with me. Or if I am physically watching you play with another dog. But even then, they're not just laying around for you to go and hoard them.
Mine are laying around, but my dogs are not allowed to hoard them.
Okay.
Like I literally have a giant toy box in my living room, and they're allowed to get out whatever they want. There's toys, there's bones, there's all the things in there, and they're allowed to get out whatever they want. My boundary with that is you're not allowed to steal things from the other dogs. And I have one dog who literally is a pushover, and he will let the other dogs just take things from him. And I do not allow that.
Yeah.
I don't allow the other dogs.
I don't think I have any dogs that are pushovers like that.
Yeah, I have D'Artagnan is my pushover. He's the best dog I've ever owned.
I think Britta was the pushover, but as she got older, now she sticks up for herself, and she probably has created a little bit of resource guarding because she thinks the older dogs are going to come get her things, and that's just partly on I got busy and after we got back from school, and so I just didn't pay attention to her enough on that aspect and make sure that she was understanding how to react with other dogs. So we do have a little bit more of like resource guarding behavior going on recently, but it's not bad, and I also don't really now that I've noticed it, I don't allow it.
Right. And that's the biggest thing in dog training is just not allowing what you don't allow. But the other thing I was going to go with is I do allow certain dogs to correct other dogs if I know that they're not going to overdo it. So Lilith, my little husky mix thing, she is so good at correcting the other dogs. Anytime I have like my puppies or other people's puppies around, they hang out with Lilith the most. Because she is great at giving them very gentle corrections and very gentle body language. That's like, no, this is mine and you cannot have it. But she's not going to overcorrect. She's not going to attack the other dog. And so I let her do that a lot of times. I let her set those boundaries herself. But like with D'Artagnan, because he's a pushover, I am very careful and I watch all of the things.
Gotcha. Yeah. I would probably have to say for me, that's my oldest. That's Leela. Appri's a pushover in certain ways. I feel like she does more hoardy behavior. Like if she's a retriever, so balls, retrieving. If she goes and gets a ball and she brings it back, she will do all she can to avoid having to go and be around the other dogs and get it back to me. But if a dog pushed her and was irritating enough, she would just drop it and be like, "I'm sorry." But then as soon as they would turn away, she'd go and grab it back. I've noticed that with her. Now, again, Britta, like I said, I feel like Britta was a pushover when she was a puppy. Now she actually will get very guardy over things. And if it's appropriate, I will let her correct the other dogs. But for the most part, because we've been kind of working with it, I kind of don't really allow her to do that recently. Rival, she's not allowed to correct any dogs. And that is because she is a Malinois and she is very, very possessive. She's not a resource guarder. She is just bred to be possessive. So she's not allowed to correct nobody. And she brings everything to me and gives it to me and drops it.
And you encouraged all of these things. You taught them to do all of these things. This is how we keep our dogs from doing these things. This is why Littermate Syndrome it's a bunch of things that are already defined, more or less. It doesn't come with just getting 2 puppies.
No. Is there any other behaviors that define, quote, quote, Littermate Syndrome that can be defined in other behaviors?
I think the biggest ones that people talk about are the fighting, the separation anxiety, and the, what did we just talk about?
Resource guarding.
Resource guarding. Yeah. And like, behaviors. With all of the, like, I feel like those are mostly what people say, as far as those things go. And all of those can be fixed by creating a one-on-one relationship with your dog that is more valuable than your other dog. Don't feel bad. You're not leaving anybody out. Just do it, please.
Your dog will get used to it.
Yeah. All right. So that was our episode for the week. Yeah. Where can people find you, Macey?
Yes, so you can find me on Facebook at BossDog Canine Dog Training. We do some little bit of updates here and there on dogs that are in training. You'll see some marketing going on, and some, if you're looking for an opening for any of my boarding and training or private lessons, they are posted on there. It's pinned, and you can go and look at what openings I have coming up in the next 6 months. You can also find me on Instagram. Again, I'm not as active on there. Pretty much everything you'll find on Facebook, you'll find on Instagram, just because they're linked. And that is BossDog Canine _ dog training. And then we have a website, bossdogcanine.com, and it's BOSSDOG K9.com.
Yep. And I am at Redemption Dog Training LLC on Facebook and on Instagram. My website is redemptiondogtraining.com. I am now offering online lessons because of this lovely podcast.
That is great.
Yeah. So if you have any sort of issue or you want to schedule something like that, feel free to reach out. Yeah. And don't forget to go to our Facebook page and vote for the next topic. Macey's in charge of all of the Facebook things, so that's on her. But we appreciate you listening to this podcast, and I'm sorry if I offended anybody.
And Skyler, where can everybody find the podcast posted if it's not just on Facebook and YouTube?
Oh shit, yeah. Right. We are at Bark Banter Podcast on like everything, I think, at this point. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. And if you want to email us, it is barkbanterpodcast@gmail.com.
What about the podcast places? Because somebody posted. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can find this podcast on YouTube, obviously. We are not on Spotify yet, but we are doing that, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay, we're doing that. We're going to get on Spotify. We are not on iTunes. I don't know why, because they don't like us or something to that effect. We are on iHeartRadio. We are on Podbean. We are on some other weird things. I'm not 100% sure.
Really. Most of the things that you
just go on YouTube.
YouTube is the best one.
YouTube is the best one because you can see us just looking ridiculous.
Yeah, I talk with my hands a lot and I explain with my hands. So
well, and the episode we are putting out next is going to require the visuals. Yes. If you listen to it audio only, you're going to be very confused.
That is true.
So I'm just going to put that out there. But yeah, YouTube is the best place to go. We will have it on Spotify soon. So yep. All right. What is our sign off this week?
Be nice to your dogs.
Love it.